Amazing date exposed as inspiring waitress uncovers unexpected secret. Mia watched the rain dribble down the diner's windows, each droplet racing toward the bottom like her fleeting hopes. She wiped a table with a well-worn cloth, the pattern barely visible beneath layers of memories and grease. The blue spoon had been a legacy left by her grandfather, a name spoken with both reverence and nostalgia in this small Wisconsin town. But the weight of keeping it alive lay heavy on her shoulders. Every order she took, every plate she served, intertwined her life with the struggles of her ailing mother and the fading essence of a once thriving diner. "Another coffee, Mia?" called out Ron, his voice slurred with the fog of old man charm and habitual orders. Mia nodded, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a genuine reflection of her mood. She poured, the familiar sound of the coffee pot grating against her nerve endings. Each day dragged on like a slow spin in a carousel of uncertainty, and as she greeted the regulars with practiced cheer, a pulse of unease hummed underneath. And then there was Josh. He entered the diner that rainy afternoon with a confidence that turned heads, his easygoing charm grounding the frantic energy swirling inside Mia. With his dark hair, warm smile, and captivating laughter, he made her feel unburdened for the first time in years. Their casual conversations became spontaneous dinner dates in the booth where her grandfather once shared dreams with her. Flirtation turned into laughter. Laughter ignited sparks of hope that flickered in her chest. Could he be the love she'd so desperately craved? But with the glimmer of romance came shadows. Mia's heart sank when, after a few more dinners together, she found a newspaper article collecting dust in the diner's back room. Chilling words within it showed connections that carved deep into her family's legacy. Josh's family oversaw the financial collapse that haunted her grandfather's dreams. Betrayal twisted like a knife, making her question every moment spent smiling at Josh. The air grew too thick to breathe. Should she tell him the truth or bury that wretched paragraph deep within her? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The emotional tension rippled through Mia, her heart aching with the unbearable choice between her love for Josh and her duty to her family's legacy. As the diner buzzed with the voices of loyal patrons, Mia felt like a ghost drifting through memories, each laugh and shared story feeling like a betrayal to her own family. They were oblivious to the looming storm, unaware of the fractures beneath what seemed like harmony. Just as she thought she could navigate through the turmoil, Josh invited her to a family dinner intended to unite their worlds. The realization twisted deeper. The echoes of her grandfather's sacrifices now collided with her feelings for him. Just when it seemed all would collapse under the weight of impending revelations, the door swung open, revealing a figure from her past with a document in hand, the key to unraveling a truth that threatened to rip their fragile connection apart. Mia's heart raced as the implications twisted in her mind. At that moment, she knew everything could change. But with countless stakes riding on her decision, she stood on the precipice of a heart-wrenching choice. Would she let love guide her, or could the truth lead her to protect everything she held dear? Mia felt the weight of the document in her hand like a lead anchor, pulling her further into the depths of uncertainty. The figure at the door, old Mrs. Williams, the town's retired librarian, regarded her with eyes that spoke volumes. The document was yellowing and creased, and the truth it held felt even more ancient. a painful reminder of her family's unraveling past. Mia took a deep breath, letting the scent of coffee and fried eggs and the soft hum of diner chatter swirl around her, wrapping her in a strange cocoon of normalcy that seemed alien now. She forced herself to focus on Mrs. Williams, who stood patiently, her brow knitted in concern. Mia wanted to ask what the document contained, but she didn't want to betray the unease it caused within her. "What is it, Mrs. Williams?" Mia finally ventured, her voice surprisingly steady despite the tempest brewing inside. "Dear, this might be difficult for you, but I think you need to see this," Mrs. Williams said, her voice soft but firm, like the grounding chords of an old melody. Mia nodded, fighting to quell the storm of emotions gnawing at her heart. The document remained a constant threat, each word waiting to filter through her thoughts, reshaping her reality. She slid into a booth, gesturing for Mrs. Williams to join her, her mind racing with possibilities. Should she read it here, alone? Or should she share the burden with Josh, the only person who had made her feel light in years? The decision loomed heavy as Mrs. Williams unfolded the paper slowly, her fingers tracing the faded ink. "It's about your grandfather and the business with the Jennings family," she said carefully, letting the weight of the words settle between them like a thick fog. Mia's heart sank as the memories rushed back, her grandfather's tired eyes filled with dreams that never quite panned out, whispers of betrayal that echoed too loudly to ignore. "What does it say?" she asked, bracing herself.
"It details the loan, how the Jennings played a role in it. Your grandfather trusted them, and they manipulated that trust. They were unscrupulous, and it led to the diner's downfall," Mrs. Williams replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Every bitter realization felt like salt in a fresh wound. Mia's heart raced as she processed the implications, her mind reeling. Did this mean Josh was more than just a casual distraction? Was he part of that legacy of deceit? Is this why my grandfather held his head low? Why he never spoke of them? Mila didn't know if she sought reassurance or clarity. Mrs. Williams nodded gravely. "It's something you must confront, Mia. Your heart's pull towards Josh skirts around a deeper truth, who he is versus who you are battling to uphold." Mia shivered, the damp chill of unease brushing up against her skin. Her feelings for Josh solidified, yet all she could think about was how to break the news. Each moment they shared now felt tainted by a shadow of doubt. Perhaps their budding romance was like precariously stacked dishes. One wrong move could send everything crashing down. Later that evening, as she served dessert to a couple, she visualized her confrontation with Josh spinning in her mind like a carousel. How do you unveil a truth laced with betrayal? Each moment of tension nestled deep beneath her skin. Just then, through the door, Josh stepped in, his smile bright enough to light the dim diner. Her heart swelled and plummeted simultaneously, dread mingled with a flicker of hope. Could love transcend the past, or would it falter against the unforgiving weight of truth? "There you are, Mia," he called, weaving through tables until he reached her. "Ready for dinner tonight?" The question hung in the air, and Mia found herself at a crossroads, teetering. She could either let the night blossom in blissful ignorance, or finally confront the heavy truth that could shatter everything. With a deep breath, she summoned a resolve she didn't know she possessed. "Josh, there's something important we need to discuss." As the words escaped her lips, the world felt like it shifted. The moment of truth had arrived. Deceptions and true intentions waited just beneath the surface, breaching the horizon. Would she find strength in the revelation, or succumb to the fear of losing everything? Mia's heart raced as she watched Josh's expression shift from anticipation to concern. The gravity of her words hung between them, palpable and charged. This was no casual dinner invitation. This was a disclosure that could redefine everything they had built. Important? What's going on? Josh's brow furrowed, uncertainty etching deeper lines on his youthful face. The underlying warmth of his smile evaporated, leaving only the chill of impending confrontation. Mia glanced at the familiar, cozy diner around them, where laughter and conversations ebbed and flowed like a soothing tide. She longed to drown in that familiarity, the smell of burnt coffee and pastries fetching memories of happier moments. But those days felt distant now, overshadowed by the impending storm. "Can we talk outside?" she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. The bundled-up warmth she felt inside was dissipating, swept away by the cold winds of her thoughts and fears. They stepped outside the diner, the crisp evening air biting at her cheeks, making her acutely aware of the rising tension between them. "Is everything okay, Mia?" he asked, concern laced in his tone. "You're scaring me." "Josh, my grandfather, he had dealings with the Jennings family. I just found out how badly they hurt him and our family." Each word felt like it was teetering on the edge of a cliff. "You need to know that because—" She struggled to find the right expression, the right words that would not alienate him. "Because of you." "What do you mean?" he asked, crossing his arms defensively, a stony expression creeping across his face. The moment seemed to stretch endlessly, her own thoughts a maelstrom, as she grasped desperately for clarity amidst the chaos. "Your family, they were behind it. I received a document that explained everything. They manipulated my grandfather, and now I can't help but wonder if you're part of that legacy." "What?" His confusion morphed into something deeper, anger, dread. "Mia, you can't possibly think that I don't know what to think," Mia interrupted, her voice escalating as the heat of anxiety propelled her to continue. "You mean so much to me, and yet you're tied to this history that I've wanted to break free from my entire life. How can I be with you knowing this?" Josh's eyes narrowed, his expression hurt. "You really think that my family defines who I am? That the mistakes of the past dictate my future? Is that what you believe?" His voice wavered, a mix of offense and sadness. Mia's heart sank, burdened by the realization she hadn't just unlaced a fact, she had thrown a grenade into their fledgling relationship. "I don't want you to be defined by them, Josh, but I can't ignore where we came from either. It's all connected, and I need to know if you even understand what this means." For a moment, they stood in silence, the winter wind rustling around them, highlighting the distance growing between their hearts. Josh took a step back and ran a hand through his hair, frustration radiating from him. "I trusted you and thought we were building something real." Mia swallowed hard, clarity seeping in amidst the chaos. "Maybe I have to confront my own fears too. Maybe we both do. But I can't do this alone. We need to look at this together." The truth bore weight on both of them, tethering their fates in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Yet, through the growing tension, Mia sensed a shift within herself, a resolve swelling to confront the specters of the past, to reclaim her narrative. "Let's not let our families define who we are," she said boldly, trying to find traction in the turmoil. "We can rewrite our story." Josh hesitated before meeting her gaze. "Can we really? Or are we just destined to repeat their mistakes?" The question lingered in the air, sharper than the cold that enveloped them. Would they navigate the murky waters of their intertwined histories, or would fear sever the connection that had become a lifeline for Mia? As she searched his face for an answer, deep determination flickered within her. The path forward was shrouded in uncertainty, but one thing was clear: their journey was just beginning. Can we start by facing this together? Mia asked, her voice steadier now. The moment stretched again, laden with possibility, uncertainty, and the promise of confrontation. But first, we have to dig deeper into the truth of our families and ourselves. Mia felt a surge of adrenaline as Josh's eyes locked onto hers, the weight of their shared history inching them ever closer to a reckoning neither had anticipated. In months past, each shared smile, each touch had forged a bond she never expected to complicate with shadows from the past. But now, clarity began to seep into her consciousness. This was not just about the ghosts of their families, but about her own capacity to confront the past that had shaped her. "Let's figure out how this all connects," Mia said, her voice steadier now. The moment stretched again, laden with possibility, uncertainty, and the promise of confrontation. But first, we have to dig deeper into the truth of our families and ourselves. Mia felt a surge of adrenaline as Josh's eyes locked onto hers, the weight of their shared history inching them ever closer to a reckoning neither had anticipated. In months past, each shared smile, each touch had forged a bond she never expected to complicate with shadows from the past. But now, clarity began to seep into her consciousness. This was not just about the ghosts of their families, but about her own capacity to confront the past that had shaped her. "Let's figure out how this all connects," Mia said, forcing a calmness into her tone, despite the storm swirling inside her. "I need to understand. You need to understand." "Fine," Josh said with an edge, his frustration palpable. "But where do we start? Are you asking me to blindly accept whatever this document says? To look back on my life like it's a scripted horror show?" "No," Mia countered, her voice steadier now. "I'm not asking you to ignore who you are. I'm asking you to join me in confronting this." Her determination solidified into resolve, like ice forming over water, firm and unyielding. They walked slowly through the empty parking lot, the reflective glow of street lamps illuminating not just their path, but the murky waters they were about to wade into together. "I'll dig up what I can about my grandfather's dealings," Mia said, the words both a promise and a challenge. "I need to know what they did to him, and I need you to dig into your family's history as well." Her heart raced at the potential repercussions. What if uncovering these truths opened old wounds? What if it drove them further apart? But those fears quickly gave way to a different question. What if understanding their family's histories gave them the tools to break free? Garnering courage, Mia turned to Josh. "I'm afraid too. I never wanted to deal with this. But now, I can't run away from it, not if it means losing you." Josh's expression softened, though the tension still coiled around them. "All right, I'll talk to my parents. I might learn things I won't like, things that maybe I've always suspected." The prospect of sharing painful revelations ignited a flicker of hostility within Josh, but there was an undeniable spark of vulnerability as well. "But are we ready for what we may find?" he queried, doubt draping over him like a fog. "What if knowing the past destroys my desire to be part of this?" "Then we build again," she replied with conviction, feeling a strange mix of fear and empowerment. "We build something real, one piece at a time. The true legacy we want to inherit rests not in the pain of our ancestors, but in our choices." Mia watched closely as a battle raged within him, wrestling between loyalty to a troubled past and the shimmering promise of their future, a future that most assuredly lay on uncharted ground. Suddenly, the clarity of her purpose washed over her like the promise of dawn breaking across a dark horizon. "Tonight, we'll go our separate ways, but we'll start our search," Mia proposed. "Let's meet back here tomorrow night, share what we've discovered. Maybe together we can make sense of this chaos." Josh ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly. "Okay, I can do that. But promise me this, if we get through it, we mustn't let it tear us apart." "Agreed," Mia said firmly. "We must face our truths."
As they stepped back, ready to confront the fragmented histories lying at their feet, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that the discoveries ahead would demand more than mere courage. They would require a reevaluation of everything she thought she knew about herself and her lineage. That night, as Mia prepared to delve into her grandfather's past, she couldn't help but wonder what she might unearth. Was she brave enough to confront the skeletons lurking within her own family? And would her revelations bring her closer to Josh or tear their fragile bond asunder? Tomorrow awaited them with endless possibilities, but one stark truth loomed ahead. The reckoning had only just begun. The gravity of their paths converged once more in her mind, and with it came the sharp realization that the relationship they sought to save could hinge on secrets they hadn't even begun to uncover. Would the truth empower them, or would it ensure a chasm too vast to cross? The next morning brought a sharp chill to the air, one that mirrored Mia's anticipation. As she sipped her coffee, every sip deepened the knot in her stomach. Determination coursed through her veins, but it was laced with fear. Fear of what she might discover about her grandfather's past, and how it could rewrite her understanding of herself. Mia leaned back in her chair, fingers poised over her laptop, scanning through old articles and online databases. Her research began with a broad net. She needed context before diving into her family's dark undertones. Each click seemed to draw her further into the tangled web of her grandfather's life. An unremarkable man on the surface, but she sensed layers beneath. What had driven him to keep secrets? What choices had he made that could ripple through generations? The friction building inside her teased apart layers of her own identity. She needed clarity, not only about her family's history, but about her role in their narrative. Several hours passed, and the sun climbed higher, casting a diffuse light across her desk. Moments of clarity flickered between the lies and half-truths she unearthed. She clicked on a link that caught her eye. A local newspaper article about a business deal gone awry in a part of town her grandfather was known to frequent. The implications were immediate, sending waves of nausea throughout her. What if he had been involved in something seedy? She whispered to herself, the reality of her inquiry sinking deeper. The thought snaked its way through her, feeding her anxiety. Each piece of evidence threatened to contribute to a horrible legacy she wasn't sure if she wanted to inherit. Deflecting the encroaching dread, Mia redirected her focus on a different web of recommendations, guiding her from past relationships to ties with entities that had shifted throughout her time there. She looked up every name she could find, hoping some connection would unveil a thread of continuity in the disjointed events surrounding her family. As the day waned, her research yielded a name, Donovan Landford. Head of a corporation with a checkered history and a face that seemed too familiar from the dusty pictures she had seen from her childhood. Was it possible that he had known her grandfather? Had her family been entangled in something larger than she ever imagined? The irony struck. Quietly working at a diner, she'd strayed too far, perhaps too oblivious, from the drama of her lineage. She picked up her phone, her fingers quaking. Should she text Josh to share her findings? Would he see this as a signal of her intention to probe further, or as a soft hint of doubt? Moments earlier they'd committed to facing their pasts, but how could she articulate the fine line between curiosity and dread to him? Instead, she set her phone down. Reaching for her notebook, she turned inward, writing down her thoughts, jotting down questions that begged for clarity, exploration, and, most importantly, confrontation. By the time dusk fell, she felt less fragmented and more focused. By acknowledging her family's complexity, Mia found a newfound resolve. Understanding would not fracture her identity, it would become a foundational part of it. As the shadows lengthened, she remembered her commitment to Josh. They needed to meet, to forge ahead together. The anxious knot in her stomach had replaced itself with an unmistakable fervor for the truth, no matter how painful it might be. With one last glance at her notes, Mia stood up, determination paving the way. She couldn't ignore the sense of anticipation mingling with fear. After all the truths they uncovered might lead them to something they never anticipated. Tomorrow they would share their findings. What would Josh uncover?
She could only hope it echoed with the honesty she craved. Yet, as she made her way home, an unsettling thought gripped her. What if the truth was more frightening than she could handle? Would it fortify their bond, or unravel the already fragile ties that connected them? In the quiet of her room, the air thick with unresolved tension, she whispered to herself, "Tomorrow is only the beginning, but what if the truth I find doesn't save us?" Mia awoke the following morning with a sense of urgency that pushed aside the lingering doubts from the night before. The sun spilled through her window, blazing with clarity, yet her mind swirled with questions. Today wasn't just about uncovering truths, it was about reclaiming her narrative. Her thoughts raced ahead of her as she prepared for her meeting with Josh. Each article she'd scoured felt like pieces of a puzzle that were mostly missing. Her determination to reveal her grandfather's secrets sparked a resolve that blurred the line between curiosity and responsibility. What would it mean to confront her lineage? Would it fortify her sense of self, or leave her grappling with shadows? On the bus ride to the diner, she reviewed her notes mentally. The name Donovan Landford echoed like a chant, each syllable laced with intrigue and unease. She had learned enough about him to know he held significant influence, a puppet master tightly woven into her family's web. Her fingers drummed anxiously against her lap, contemplating how she might connect the dots without being burned by the fire they could ignite. As she stepped inside the diner, the familiar scent of ground coffee filled the air, grounding her momentarily. She spotted Josh in their usual booth, his brow furrowed in concentration over a notebook filled with his own findings. The sight of him both relaxed her and added to her anxiety. They'd committed to being honest with each other about their pasts, but how transparent could she truly be with her fears regarding her grandfather's past and the implications for her future? "Hey, Mia," he greeted, a smile breaking through his seriousness. She nodded, fighting a swell of apprehension. "I think so." She slid into the booth, notes spread before them like battle plans. As they shared their findings, an unexpected tension filled the air. Josh's discoveries appeared equally unsettling, which drew them both closer to an uncomfortable precipice of understanding. His voice shook slightly as he explained a connection he'd found between his family and the corporation Landford headed. "While digging through old financial records, I noticed some transactions linked back to one of my ancestors," he admitted, glancing at Mia to gauge her reaction. "I had no idea my family was involved in anything beyond the farm." "What does that mean for us?" she asked, trying to mask the storm swirling in her mind. "It complicates things, doesn't it?" He looked down, tracing patterns on the vinyl booth's surface. "If we both find links back to Landford..." Their conversation tumbled into a minefield of implications, betrayals, legacies, and what it meant for their own identities. The more they unearthed, the more intermingled their histories became. Each shared secret felt like intimacy forged in the fire of unexpected revelations. Should we confront Landford? Mia's pulse raced at the thought, an idea she hadn't expected to surface so soon. Confrontation seemed reckless, yet irresistible. Isn't it time we claim control over our stories? Josh hesitated, his expression clouded. "That puts us at risk, Mia. What if we find something we aren't prepared to deal with?" Yet inside her, the fervor only ignited further. The very thought of confronting the shadows of their past, of pulling back the curtain on Landford's hidden machinations, felt like the most empowering step forward. Their conversation became a dance of shared determination, intertwined with apprehension, hearts racing as they began formulating a plan. As they left the diner, Mia could feel the weight of the world pressing her forward. Questions of morality and safety flickered through her mind like fireflies in the darkness. How far could she push? What truths awaited them, hidden beneath deceptive facades? The day stretched out before them, promise interwoven with peril.
As Mia walked alongside Josh, a new vitality surged through her. She was no longer just uncovering her family's past, she was shaping her future. But as they approached a familiar office building, fear coiled back around her. What awaited them beyond those doors? Would the truth empower them, or would it shatter the fragile connection they shared? Her throat taut with anticipation, she whispered to herself, "This is just the beginning. But what if this knowledge pulls us into something deeper than either of us expected?" Mia's heart raced as they stepped into the imposing office building, a stark contrast to the cozy diner they had just left. The sterile lobby swallowed them in silence, forcing her to confront the reality of her intentions. This was not just a building, it was a monument to the power and secrets that bound their families together. Each step she took felt heavier, the weight of her lineage pressing down like a dense fog. "Are you sure about this?" Josh's voice pulled her from her spiral of thoughts as he adjusted his grip on the strap of his messenger bag. The doubt in his eyes mirrored the storm in her head, a tempest of anticipation mixed with fear. "More than ever," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "We need to know what we're up against." This was no longer merely about her grandfather's legacy. It had now entwined their fates in ways she couldn't predict. They tentatively approached the reception desk, where a polished woman scrutinized them through her oversized glasses. Mia took a deep breath, gathering her resolve. "Hi, we're here to see Mr. Lanford," she stated, forcing an air of confidence that masked the churning uncertainty inside. The receptionist raised an eyebrow, likely
questioning their motives. This only heightened Mia's sense of urgency. "Do you have an appointment?" the woman asked, her tone implying that these two college students were out of their depth. "No, but it's important," Josh interjected, his earnestness mirroring Mia's determination. "We need to discuss some family matters." The receptionist paused, glancing at her computer screen as if weighing their request against her own judgment. Mia felt her throat tighten. Failure at this point would mean retreating into ignorance instead of claiming the knowledge that was rightfully theirs. After what felt like an eternity, the receptionist finally clicked away at her keyboard. "Wait here." As she disappeared into the back, time seemed to stretch, leaving Mia and Josh in a shared bubble of anticipation and dread. What if they unearthed things better left buried? "I didn't think it would be this intense," Josh confessed, his voice low. "Me neither," Mia admitted, grappling with her own nerves. "But we owe it to ourselves to face whatever comes next." Their conversation was suspended as the receptionist returned, motioning for them to follow. They walked in silence, each step resonating against polished marble that echoed their doubts. In front of a massive oak door, the receptionist paused to knock. "Mr. Lanford, you have visitors," she announced, pushing the door open to reveal a spacious office adorned with expensive decor. Mia's breath caught in her throat. Donovan Lanford sat behind an imposing desk, his silver hair slicked back, sharp blue eyes surveying them. He gestured for them to enter with a wave that felt more like a summons than an invitation. "Come in," he drawled, a smirk curling at the corners of his lips. "What brings you two here?" Mia could feel the scrutiny of his gaze, weighing her intentions against his. She exchanged a glance with Josh, a silent signal of solidarity between them. This was the moment, a confrontation with the puppet master himself. "Mr. Lanford, we need to talk about our families," Mia began, her heart pounding like a war drum. As the words left her lips, she felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. This was a declaration of intent, a commitment to unveiling layers of deception. "Families?" His eyebrows raised with feigned interest. "And what exactly do you wish to know?" Each syllable felt like a challenge, drawing Mia deeper into a dangerous game. With every question posed, the stakes elevated, not just for the truth she sought, but for the implications those truths would hold for both her and Josh. As her voice steadied, Mia recognized this was no simple dialogue. It was a battle of wills. She had stepped into the lion's den, and there would be no turning back now. "Everything," she replied, her resolve igniting. "We want the truth." But what awaited them on the other side of this confrontation? Could the truth indeed light the way, or would it plunge them into darkness? Mia's resolve hung heavy in the air, pulsating. As Donovan Lanford leaned back in his leathery chair, the smirk faded slightly, his composed exterior giving way to genuine curiosity. It was a fleeting moment, but Mia seized it like a lifeline. "What exactly are you hoping to find here?" he probed, his voice smooth as silk, yet laced with an undertone that warned of the perilous game unfolding. Mia felt the weight of his gaze, dissecting her presence as if she were a puzzle. Yet she knew she had to maintain this fragile hold on her confidence. "Not just what's hidden, but what it means for us, for our futures." Josh shifted beside her, sensing the tension thickening around them. "Our families have been entangled for too long. We won't be kept in the dark anymore," he added, his earnestness a steady anchor against the unease swirling in Mia's chest. Donovan adjusted his posture, an analytic glint flashing in his icy blue eyes. "Well, isn't that commendable? But know this, the truth often comes at a cost." Mia's mind raced. Every word articulated by him felt like a gauntlet thrown at her feet. She could back down, retreat into the shadows cast by their family legacies, or she could confront the storm head-on. What cost? She found herself demanding, her own voice echoing her internal tempest. He chuckled lightly, revealing a flash of amusement as he leaned forward, looming like a wolf sizing up its prey. "Not all truths are empowering. Some can dismantle the very foundation of what you thought you knew about yourself and your family." Mia's heart thudded harder in her chest. She had come prepared for confrontation, yet facing the reality of potential devastation was something entirely different. "I'm willing to accept that," she said, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. Brave words for a girl who hasn't spent much time navigating the complexities of our world. His assessment was laced with condescension. He paused, allowing the weight of his statement to sink in. Mia clenched her fists at her sides, stifling the reflex to flinch. Instead, she tapped into her burgeoning resolve. "I may not be seasoned, but I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions." "Very well," he replied, the edge of amusement resurfacing. "Ask away, but be prepared for answers that may shatter your illusions." The room enveloped them in a muted silence, heavy with the possibilities that lay ahead. She took a slow, deliberate breath, mentally preparing for the path she was about to traverse. Start with the truth about why our families are connected beyond the surface. Donovan leaned back, folding his hands steepled under his chin. Family ties can be elevated treasures or burdensome curses. Your grandfather's business dealings bled into mine. Power dynamics shifted. Secrets were made to protect legacies, but those secrets are often the very chains that bind. A chill crept down Mia's spine, the realization dawning that their meeting would unveil a web of complexities steeped in history. "Then why didn't you just share it?" "Because certain truths are infinitely more dangerous in the light," he answered, his tone a monotone, yet edged with a subtle threat. The conversation, which had initially felt empowering, now wrapped around them like a vice. "We deserve to know, Donovan. We should not have to bear the weight of your decisions without understanding why they were made," Mia countered fiercely, her voice gaining momentum. Every word felt like a stepping stone on a treacherous path, one she was determined to follow. Donovan's expression morphed, intrigue mingling with exasperation. "You're playing a dangerous game, Mia. Are you certain you're prepared for the consequences?" If it means uncovering the truth, I'll face any consequence head-on. A fierce determination radiated from her as her eyes met his. The smile faded from his lips, the gravity of the situation accumulating in the charged air between them. It was no longer just about unveiling family secrets. It was about reclaiming agency over her life and unraveling the chains of the past. I admire your spirit, but the truth often reveals more than one expects. Are you truly ready? He asked, his voice dangerously low. Mia understood they were at a crossroads. The truth could either fortify her or tear apart the very fabric she sought to understand. I want to know, she replied, her voice firm. Then let's begin, Donovan said, his sly smile returning. The calm before the storm. And Mia felt the weight of impending revelations settle over her like a shroud. Yet in the depth of her commitment, a glimmer of doubt flickered. What truths lay hidden beneath the surface? And at what cost would their pursuit for knowledge come? As Donovan prepared to reveal the first secret, Mia braced herself. She was ready to unearth what lay buried. But the question lingered. Would she emerge stronger, or would the truth unravel everything she believed? Mia felt the weight of Donovan's gaze intensify as he shifted his posture, the comfortable distance evaporating. She sensed the moment he decided that the real game was not with the facts at hand, but with her resolve. Your grandparents, they weren't just investors dabbling in businesses, you know, he began, his voice low and steady, each word meticulously placed. Their dealings wove a tapestry of circumstance, ambition, and betrayal. A corporate dynasty built on trust. At least, that's the facade. Mia's mind raced. Betrayal, ambition. These weren't merely abstract concepts. They were the undercurrents shaping her life and the lives intertwined with hers. What kind of betrayal? Donovan leaned in, the corners of his mouth twitching in a half-smile. Let's just say your grandfather had ties that could easily be categorized as unsavory. There's a reason your family kept to the shadows. There it was, the quiet fissures in her family narrative she had sensed but never dared to name. What would she unearth if she dug deeper into the dark roots? She was desperate for clarity, a hunger igniting her spirit. Yet the prospect of unearthing secrets threatened to dismantle everything she had worked towards, everything she had hoped to become. I want to know it all, she asserted, her voice louder now, the tremor replaced by defiance. Every last detail. I refuse to let fear dictate my narrative any longer. Donovan considered her, the amusement fading from his eyes, replaced with a flicker of respect. Or was it something more sinister? Very well, he said slowly, purposefully. You deserve the unvarnished truth. But bear in mind, once we go down this path, there's no turning back. As he began his recount of events, Mia's heart beat louder, drowning out the quiet hum of the room. The layers of information unfolded like an intricate origami. Each fold revealed a darker side of the grand historical narrative she thought she knew. Tender stories of family dinners now twisted into narratives of clandestine meetings, secret funds, and unscrupulous negotiations. Her identity, grounded in the unyielding love of her family, began morphing before her eyes into something foreign and unrecognizable. The grim details eroded what she thought she understood about her lineage, each revelation striking harder than the last. Yet, amidst the disarray of her emotions, a certain clarity emerged. Each fact was not merely a disparaging mark against her family, but parts of a larger puzzle calling for resolution, for restoration. Mia's determination solidified further. She could not escape the truth, nor could she run from the past's implications. The weight of her lineage might bind her, but it could also provide the foundation needed to transcend it. What lay ahead was a reckoning, one that would compel her to confront her family's legacy head-on.
"And what do you intend to do with all this newfound knowledge?" Donovan asked, his interest piqued. "I'm going to redefine it," she vowed, her brows furrowing with intensity. "It won't define me. I will take these truths and reclaim my narrative." There was silence for a beat as Donovan processed her words. "You may find more enemies than allies in this journey." "Then I'll carve my own path," she said, fiercely undeterred. As a shadow loomed in the doorway, the door swung open slightly, creating a revealing gap that hinted at more hidden figures beyond. Mia's heartbeat quickened, the realization dawning. She was no longer alone in seeking the truth. That shadow could be an ally, or it could be an obstacle, a potential harbinger of the conflicts yet to come. Just as fear sought to creep back into her psyche, Mia sent it away with the fierceness of her own conviction. "What's next?" she pressed, leaned forward, the urge to grasp illumination overwhelming, despite knowing the shadows might still close in on her. Donovan pulled back for a moment, a contemplative look passing across his face. "Next, dear Mia, we peel back another layer. The cost will rise." An insatiable anticipation thrummed in her veins. The variation of risks echoed with the promise of potential, challenging her
Very core. What other truths awaited? Where would this journey take her next? As the tension in the air thickened, Mia knew one thing with absolute certainty. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The journey was just beginning, and she would not retreat. Mia stood in the sterile office, a wave of determination washing over her as she prepared to reveal everything she had learned to the only person whose reactions mattered, Josh. The last few weeks had been an odyssey of knowledge that unraveled the fabric of her family legacy, tightly interwoven with the remnants of tragedy and betrayal. "Can we truly rewrite our narrative?" she whispered to herself, recalling the haunting words exchanged with Donovan Lanford. The mere thought of confronting the darker chapters of their families ignited a blaze of courage within her. After breaking away from Donovan's suffocating presence, Mia stood firm in her resolve. As she stepped outside, the sunlight enveloped her, illuminating the path ahead. She was ready to confront her fears, come what may. With each stride back to the diner, the weight of her family history strengthened rather than burdened her. She would no longer allow the shadows of her grandfather's dealings to define who she was. Mia felt like a phoenix rising from ashes, a culmination of risks and revelations demanding liberation. As she entered the diner, the familiar scent of coffee mingled with her anticipation. Josh was already seated in their usual booth, a canvas of worry etched across his brow. The flickering struggle between their families had not only drawn them closer, but braided them into a narrative filled with uncertainty. "Mia," he began as she slid into the booth, "I was hoping you'd come back in one piece." His attempt at levity was overshadowed by the growing tension between them. "Every piece is still intact, and every shard is leading us towards understanding." Her voice carried a conviction that seemed to brighten the dimly lit space between them. Josh's eyes glimmered with curiosity and admiration. "What did you discover? Is it—" he hesitated, processing the weight of her earlier confrontation. "Josh," she said with unwavering focus, "I delved into my grandfather's dealings with the Lanford family. This isn't merely about betrayal, it's about reclaiming the narrative that's kept us shackled." The tension in Josh's shoulders eased slightly, though uncertainty lingered in his expression. "I found my own truths too. My family's secrets are interconnected with yours. It's a mess that could destroy us or set us free." Mia leaned in, sharing the fire of their combined discoveries, igniting a path to liberation. As they bared their wounds and histories, Mia felt the solid ground beneath her shift, not just for herself, but for both of them. What if, together, we redefine who we are? "What do you mean?" Josh asked, his intrigue piqued. "I mean we can turn the legacy of pain into something prosperous.
Your family history doesn't bind you, it pushes you to forge a new path.
Let's take our past and create a future unencumbered by the chains of our ancestors. Mia's words spilled forth like an incantation, filling the diner with a tangible energy. Simultaneously, both their eyes locked onto the potential they were unveiling, trading heartbreak for resilience. "Then let's confront Donovan," Josh declared, strength anchoring his tone. "Let's use his connections to embark on our own venture, a business that thrives on transparency and integrity." That notion electrified them, an opportunity ripe for grasping. They would no longer shy away from the shadows. Instead, they would bring them into the light and make them irrelevant. This was the heart of Mia's realization. Their shared experience had the potential to rewrite their histories and reshape the legacies weighing down on them. With budding confidence and a plan taking shape, they left the diner, energy surging between them. They were creating a roadmap towards independence, one that would carve their genuine identities, free from familial expectations and shadows of deceit. Mia's heart soared as they walked side by side, light spilling across their strides, the weight of the past becoming a catalyst for their determination. As the sun dipped low on the horizon, Mia glanced at Josh. "The truth will no longer unravel us. It will propel us towards something greater. We will achieve a legacy defined by our own choices." The promise of their transformation echoed into the future, mingling with the wind that stirred through Wisconsin's evening air. With every step they took, an undeniable growth radiated from inside them. That which had once threatened to fracture now fortified their connection. Mia knew they were ready. And as they ventured forward, leaving behind the shadows of their families, she felt the solid confidence she had strove for solidifying within her. This was her accomplishment, transforming uncertainties into clarity, fear into courage, and every step further towards authentic realization of self. "Let's take on the world together," she affirmed, echoing the newfound determination coursing through her veins. Those words sealed their pact, solidifying not only their bond, but also their resolve to reclaim their destinies. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.